In today's video, we're going to take a look at my team selection ahead of the highly anticipated Game Week 21. We're also going to take a look at my transfer plans and potential captaincy options for this game week. Before we get into today's video, I just want to say if you do enjoy the content that you see on the channel, be sure to hit that subscribe button as we are closing in on 3,000 subscribers. It would be absolutely massive if you could help me out and hit that subscribe button. Of course, we're going to start off with my points from Game Week 20. I don't want to spend too long on this as it was kind of a long time ago, but some very good standout performers. We went with the Salah captain. First half, it wasn't looking good, but redeemed himself in the second. Having Cole Palmer was a massive plus. Watkins as well with his 2 assists. Areola with the 11 points as well. All good stuff. My 2 transfers for the week. One went okay. One got me 0 points. Trent got me 0 points, which was massively frustrating. But Julian Alvarez did get me a goal and puts me in a good position this week if Erling Haaland is available, as I still want to take advantage of that poor Newcastle defence at the moment. So if Haaland is still out, it could be a very good transfer on paper. If not, I'm probably going to have to do a little bit of rejigging. But Trent, I was disappointed, but definitely from watching the game, you could see that he is going to pick up some attacking returns. So hopefully with Salah and Son off, you know, it's going to be justified putting the budget into that back line. We've also started to creep up the ranks over the past few weeks. I think this is the second highest rank we've had so far in this season. So hopefully we can continue to get some green arrows and potentially start to break into that 100k. Transfer plans for my team. I think there's 2 players that I've actually identified that I kind of like, and I think I want to go and potentially get one of these 2 for Salah and Son. We'll have a little bit of a tinker in a few minutes and kind of decide which way we potentially want to go, but I'm slightly leaning more towards Pascal Gross. The reason is Brighton have got some amazing fixtures coming up: Wolves, Luton, Crystal Palace, Tottenham, Sheffield United, Everton and Fulham, and as you can see, picking up some really good data sets to go with that as well. 20 points scored over the past 5 game weeks, no goals and 2 assists. But with the positive fixtures coming up, and when João Pedro isn't on the pitch, is a penalty taker for 6.4 million. I think he does offer great kind of value. He has been the standout player for Brighton this season, and with, like I said, that positive fixture run, he could be a player that I definitely want to have in my team. A very solid performer, plays a lot of minutes as well, isn't prone to rotation, so I do think that is a massive advantage that he does have over Phil Foden, and again, would free up that extra bit of money going down from Salah or Son to Gross to potentially go and get Erling Haaland in, which is basically what we might have to do going into Game Week 21. The other option is Phil Foden. Absolutely slapped it this weekend in the FA Cup. 2 goals against Huddersfield for him, and as you can see over the past 5 game weeks as well, 1 goal, 3 assists, really good data as well to go with that, and the slightly better predicted points according to Draft Hound's model. 21.4 predicted points for him, and again, City do have some amazing fixtures coming up. Newcastle away, it's a red on the ticker. But as we know, Newcastle's defensive numbers have been shambolic. They, over the Christmas period, were the worst defensive team in the league by a country mile, ladies and gentlemen. No joke, they are rock bottom of that list. Then they take on Burnley, Brentford, Everton, Chelsea, Bournemouth. A really, really good run. Even City at Manchester United after that. So again, the good games do just keep coming for Phil Foden. There's potentially going to be some doubles as well. Still outlining potentially Game Week 25. I kind of checked what Ben Crellin has been put in. He still thinks City and Brentford might double in Game Week 25, which would then potentially mean that Manchester City have a double of Chelsea and Brentford. Pretty good going. I can't lie. So I think potentially longer term plan, that might be a better option than going for Pascal Gross. But I think we're going to have to wait and see, because obviously KDB is back, and I do think that potentially could influence maybe Foden's minutes. But for me, I am slightly leaning more towards Pascal Gross, but I do like Phil Foden as option. So we're going to have a tinker and see which one works best. Before we go and take a look at my team, I think the big discussion for a lot of people this week is going to be captaincy. Which way do you go? With Haaland potentially being out, Salah and Son no longer available for this game week, I thought there would be, you know, a good opportunity to potentially go against the norm. And I've selected 5 players who I think will probably be the most captain players this game week. So we've got Haaland in here because he still potentially could be available. We are going to get a press conference from Pep Guardiola and hopefully some early team news avenues potentially for that game on Saturday evening for Manchester City. As you can see, he does have the best underlying data on this list in terms of goals and expected goal involvement. This is per 90 stats over the course of the season, and as you can see as well, points as well per 90. Haaland is absolutely licking his lips with all the other players, so if he is available, I do think he makes sense as the best captaincy option. Even if he's probably going to play like 60 odd minutes, I still think he's a great asset to potentially go and get this game week and give the armband as well. Obviously, he's probably not going to play a full 90, like I said, but even in 60 minutes, with him putting up amazing numbers like this, he's probably still going to bag against a very, very weak Newcastle defence as well. So definitely a player I think I might have to consider potentially getting back into the team. Right, moving on to the next player, one that actually quite surprised me, and it is Cole Palmer. Now, if you look at the data that he's been putting up per 90, it is absolutely terrific. The second best on this list in terms of goals per 90. The assists per 90 are pretty decent as well. And then expected goal involvement per 90, he is second again. Same for points as well. So for 5.6 million, a good fixture against Fulham as well at Stamford Bridge on penalties. Pretty much plays a lot of minutes and is Chelsea's kind of key danger man as well. Takes some set pieces and corners as well, just to add a little bit more flair, a little bit more spice as well. He could be a great captaincy option this game week. I think if you're just going off the data sets alone and probably playing into the fixture, I probably would say Cole Palmer looks an absolutely fantastic option to potentially give the armband. I think people have potentially got a little bit of kind of bias against going with him, mainly down to the fact of his 5.6 million price tag. You know, they'll see that and be like, okay, well, I want to go for one of my more premium boys. You know, I'm paying these kind of top dollar prices for the likes of Saka, Trent, Haaland. Then I want to go for these guys, not for this 5.6 million guy. But you've got to take away from that. Look at the data this man is putting up. It's absolutely terrific as well. Got himself an assist in the FA Cup as well, in good form, off the back of an 18-pointer as well in game week 20. So it could be a very, very good differential captain to potentially go for if you do own him this week. I think the second probably most captaincy option, if Haaland isn't available, probably will be Saka. Arsenal do have Crystal Palace at home. It is a very good fixture. Saka as well, 59.6% owned, so owned by a vast majority of the game. I don't have him in my side, but I know a lot of people do. As you can see from the data sets, he's not really putting up any kind of trees. It's kind of like a goal or an assist nearly every 90, you know, 0.73. So not outrageous. You know, he's below Cole Palmer, which isn't great. 5.78 points per 90 as well. It's just not amazing. And Arsenal at the moment do seem like they're going through a little bit of a difficult period. Obviously lost a few games in the Premier League over the Christmas period, then knocked out of the FA Cup as well. It does seem like Saka is struggling and not quite justifying that price point. Never mind throwing captaincy in the mix as well. Yes, it is a good fixture for Arsenal, but I think with the form that they're in at the moment, and the fact that Saka hasn't really kind of pulled up any trees or hitting double-digit points, I don't think it's potentially worth going for the captaincy badge with him for this game week. I think there are better options with better fixtures as well. Speaking of better fixtures, I think the Newcastle away fixture for Manchester City is an absolute goldmine. I think it should potentially be a grey or a green if kind of the tracker regularly updated itself. Newcastle didn't have a good Christmas period in the Premier League, did they? Obviously losing quite a few games, bottom of XG conceded, like we spoke about, and I do think Alvarez does offer himself up as a great captaincy option if Haaland isn't fit, because he's going to be leading the line, takes some set pieces as well, which is always great to see. And for 7 million again, he's putting up okay-ish numbers, the worst kind of points per 90 on this list, but I think with Newcastle's shaky defensive line at the moment, he definitely could get himself a goal. Definitely a player I would like to have if Haaland isn't available for this game week. Maybe not for the captaincy though, because as you can see, the data just not quite screaming out to me, to be honest. Moving on to the final option, and it's going to be a defender. It is Trent Alexander-Arnold, and as you can see, points per 90 is actually getting more than both Saka and Alvarez. For me personally, I don't like captaining defenders, especially with a lot less clean sheets at the moment in the game. His data sets as well in terms of goals and assists per 90 aren't blowing me out the water. Even his goal involvement as well is not better than Alvarez or Saka. So I don't think Trent offers a good captaincy option for me. The player that surprised me the most looking into all this data has to be Cole Palmer for me. If Haaland isn't available, I think that is potentially where I'm going to put the armband on. But let's go and have a look at my team selection for this game week. So here is how the team would be lining up for game week 21. We are on FPL.team, a great website, so go and check it out for any kind of future planning that you potentially want to do. Areola in goal with Sheffield United. I think that's the right way to go around it. Turner, Brentford, also a good fixture. Forest kind of having a little bit of a new manager bounce. Brentford didn't win over the festive period, so definitely, you know, could get something out of that game, and I could have a clean sheet on the bench, but I still think Areola does have the better fixture. Gabriel for Arsenal, like I said in the last section, Arsenal haven't quite been at the races. Hopefully he can get me a nice clean sheet, but we'll have to wait and see on that one. Ezri Konsa, the past 2 games since I brought him in, has been disappointing, only picking up 2 points over that time period. Massively disappointing, but they do have some absolutely stellar fixtures coming up. Everton, Newcastle, Sheffield United, Manchester United, Fulham, Nottingham Forest and Luton, so I think he's a very easy hold for a few more game weeks as well. Trent Alexander-Arnold, obviously bought him in last week. Bournemouth are in actually really good form. You know, I think it is going to be a lot more of a difficult game, going down to the vitality for Liverpool. I think if this was a home fixture, I definitely would bank Salah to potentially get a clean sheet, but hopefully he can pick up an attack in return if he can't quite get that clean sheet. Levi Colwill in here for the Fulham at home fixture. You would imagine Chelsea should be able to keep a clean sheet in that one, but again, the way that this season's panning out and Chelsea's kind of poor defensive record, that one could be a bit of a wobbly cake as well. Obviously, we've got Jared Bowen in here. He has been in my team for quite a few weeks. Very happy to have him. But the only concern, obviously, he's flagged currently in the game. Went off injured. We are not going to get a David Moyes press conference before this Premier League match. So I think I'm just going to go with it. Obviously, this game week is spread out over 2 kind of weekends. Jared Bowen is playing in the latter weekend. So I do think that does benefit him. He's got a great injury record as well. I think he's only missed like 2 games in the past 3-4 seasons. So he's very quick to recover from injuries. Hopefully it's a knock rather than like kind of a strain or a tear, and I think that potentially could lead him back. So I don't think I'm going to plan on taking him out. I think I'm going to leave him in and just hope for the best with that one. Obviously, we've got Cole Palmer in here next. Giving him the armband provisionally for now. Obviously, looking at the last section, his data sets were absolutely immense. Fulham at home, my only concern is the early kickoff. So Gandhi is going to be in full swing for that one. So it could be a little bit difficult, but I definitely think looking at the data, his per 90 data that he's picking up is absolutely phenomenal. On penalties as well, always a great asset to potentially go for. We've put Pascal Gross in here. He has replaced Mohamed Salah. I have to take Salah out first if I want to get back to Erling Haaland, unless I went for a super cheap option in here. So we're going to have to go Salah out first, then go for Son a little bit later. So yeah, we've done that. We've taken Salah out. He is going to make way for Pascal Gross, potentially Phil Foden. It could be one for the deadline stream on Friday to potentially decide that one. But we spoke quite a lot in length about Pascal Gross. Some really good fixtures coming up. Wolves at home as well, so let's hope for the best in that one. Then we do have a front three of Watkins, Solanke and Alvarez. Really good free. Very happy with that. Solanke has obviously missed the FA Cup game with a knock. Again, they're in the latter weekend, so hopefully he should be fine for that one. Watkins, a very solid player, hopefully can pick up a goal or an assist. And then Julian Alvarez, if Haaland isn't fit and available, I think he is a great asset to potentially going into this kind of game week. Obviously, if Haaland is fit, it is going to change quite a few things. We're probably going to look to take a -4, so it would probably be Julian Alvarez out and Erling Haaland in. So that is how we would look if Haaland is available and we do potentially get news. He also would take the armband off Cole Palmer as well. So let's just put Julian Alvarez back in there for a second, and let's see how the team would potentially look for next week as well. So this is going into game week 22, which is quite a long way away. It is all the way into the end of January. I think it starts on the 28th or the 29th. This is how the team would look without any transfers as well. Obviously, we would have one free transfer, and on paper, looking at it, we probably would replace Son. Obviously, if Haaland is available, he'll come in for Julian Alvarez. So I do think the way that the team is shaping up, we are potentially going to have to take a -4 to get Erling Haaland back in, which isn't the best, and it's not something I really wanted to do, but I think that's probably going to have to be the case. It's either going to be this week or next week, depending on Erling Haaland's fitness. If you did enjoy the content that you see on the channel, please be sure to like, comment, and subscribe. Like I said, we're approaching 3,000 subscribers, so if we could smash that out of the park, it would be absolutely immense. But thank you very much for watching today, ladies and gentlemen, and good luck this game week.